The background of Nova MSC Berhad. Nova MSC Berhad is a holding company for investments. It has a worldwide track record as a top provider of ready-to-deploy, industry-focused application software and services for both the government and healthcare sectors. The company was established in 2002 and has its headquarters in Kuala Lumpur. Nova MSC Berhad has provided some products. The first product is e-government products. It is included the Pavo, Octans and Fornats. Pavo is a product with different tiers to meet various application types of collaborative internet transaction between the government and the private sectors. Next, Octans is a series of products that supports function carried out by local government organizations in controlling and managing land planning and development. Next, Fornats is an automates land planning and development. Nova MSC Berhad also provided healthcare offerings, SCMS, which is included Vesalius HIS, which is Hospital Information Systems, Vesalius KIS, which is Clinical Information Systems, and Avicenna Specialist Clinical Management System. Customers' productivity increases as a result of their goods production, which is based on technological expertise and a true understanding of market and demand and customers' expectation. By making continuing investments in research and development, Nova MSC Berhad supports its clients' growth inside the organizations and help them take use of advantages of cutting-edge technology. Goal and innovation of Nova MSC Berhad. Nova has a worldwide track record as a leading provider of ready-to-deploy, industry-focused application software and services for both government and healthcare sectors. They develop products that boost productivity for their clients. They assist their customers in harnessing the benefits of cutting-edge technology and growing in their organization by continuing to invest in research and development. First, healthcare. Improve healthcare delivery in hospitals and clinics using an integrated platform. In many opinions, healthcare is one of the specialized fields. Both the administration of hospital resources and the care of its patients are very challenging responsibilities. Their healthcare team provides hospitals and clinics with workable systems to connect people, share information, improve patient safety, and increase overall efficiency, regardless of their size. Second, e-government. Streamline e-government services using a collaborative platform. Deal with rising customers' expectations while the government is aware of the extraordinary opportunity to use ICT to deliver services across a variety of channels. It is also improve the public and improve government services delivery, increase contacts with industry and business, citizen empowerment through information access, and more transparency.
Now, I will present a SWOT analysis. First is strengths. Supply chain management. New MSC Berhad strives to maintain the positive relationship with supplier, customer, and staff at all times. This positive behavior must always be maintained, since a strong correlation with the supplier can be reassuring high quality acceptance and selection of raw material. As a consequence, business may be able to obtain unique and important insights that are unavailable to rivals. Second is strong sales and marketing capabilities. The manner the firm stresses the distinction and benefit of the services supplied demonstrate this. They also persuade customers that the service they give are superior to those provided by competitors. And lastly, the company current assets are sufficient. Nova and MSC Berhad's current ratio indicates that the company's current assets are sufficient to meet its current liability. These are good results indicating that the corporation is still in good health. Next, weaknesses. According to Nova and MSC Berhad's financial accounts, the firm produced a tiny profit. Even though it had produced little profit over the years, the firm managed to avoid going bankrupt. Nova and MSC Berhad's profit ratio was a tiny proportion in the preceding year. This can be a deterrent to investors rather than putting money into the business. The average collecting period of the company plan is not in excellent shape. This made their trade adapter. Business has too long a credit period that needs to be reduced to maintain profitability. And opportunity. To provide its client with the best service, Nova and MSC Berhad invest in development and conduct ongoing research. They make every effort to fully satisfy the needs and preference of customers. As a result, they frequently get better to produce better results. Nova and MSC Berhad's strength is that it is thought to discover organizations that can supply services comparable to those given by them. The number of new entries will be limited according to government legislation. This is because it is tough for beginners to adhere to all of the law and regulation. In addition, new competitors must overcome significant entrance barriers. This is because starting this firm needs a sizable initial expenditure. In this instance, fewer new entrants are advantageous to established business as there are less competitors to deal with. Nova and FC Berhad may therefore continue to function at a reasonable level. Last threats, there are significant exit obstacles in the Nova and FC Berhad sector. Companies do not want to close their door regardless of little money they may or lose. This is so because the corporation has already made a sizable investment in both resource and assets to run its business. Nova and FC Berhad is one of the companies that has suffered loss in its financial account as a result, but it is still making a lot of effort to prevent or when inflation happens. Economic force has an impact on Nova and FC Berhad sales performance. It's because excessive inflation reduces customer purchasing power. The financial position statement for Nova and FC for 2019, 2020, and 2021 is displayed in the picture to my left. The balance sheet is in balance when the value of the asset equal of the sum of value of liability and equity, which are Rn 81,133,184 for 2019, Rn 99,955,429 for 2020, and Rn 86,34,930 for 2021. According to the statement of financial position for the relevant period, for year 2019, current asset and non-current asset total Rn 57,356,522 and Rn 23,776,662 respectively. Although for total liability and total equity in 2019 are Rn 24,860,855.58 and Rn 56,264,326. Current asset total Rm 68,587,372 and non-current asset total Rm 31,368,050 in 2020. The total liability are Rm 33,926,418 and the total equity is 66,028,949 as a result. But for 2020, the sum of current asset and non-current asset is 53,097,211 and I'm 32,970,790 respectively. The total liability and equity for 2031 are Rn 80,780 and 650 and Rm 67,254,218 respectively. The income statement for Nova MC for 2019, 2020 and 2021 is displayed in the picture to my right. According to the picture, revenue will be Rm 53,019,047 for years 2019, Rm 39,333,225 in 2020 and Rm 31,695,985 in 2020 respectively, showing a decline of Rm 7,637,240 for 2020 to 2021 and Rm 30,685,822 for year 2019 to 2020. The net profit for 2020 and 2021 then turned negative, meaning a loss after subtracting all expenses, while for the year 2019, the net profit show is positive, which means the Nova MMC has profit after deducting all expenses. The combined loss for the two years 2020 and 2021 is Rm 404,073,652 and Rm 10,364,603 and the profit for year 2019 is 7,094,997.
Now, we will see the financial analysis. The first analysis is the liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is to find whether the company has enough of their assets in order to cover their liabilities. As you can see from the graph, the current ratio has been showing the upward and the downward for the recent 3 years. In the years 2019, the current ratio is 4.25 times and it is increased to 5.40 in 2020 and it is decreasing again in 2021 to 5.19 times. Even though the current ratio is decreased for these 3 years, but the company has been shown the positive outcome and this is also indicate that Nova and SC Berhad's current ratio is really good. For the quick ratio of Nova and SC Berhad, we can see that the company has shown a good sign for these 3 recent years. the graph in the slide showing the growth of the quick ratio of the company. In 2019, the company obtained 4.22 times, while in the 2020, it is increased to the 5.17, and it keep increasing in 2021 to 5.39 times. This shows that the company has enough of assets to pay every 1 ringgit of liabilities. For the average collection period of Nova MSC Berhad is showing a negative sign, where the days of collection of debt is keep increased for the last 2 recent years. Meanwhile, in the first recent years, which is 2019, they are able to collect the debt in 1,393 days, and this is a negative sign, but the company able to show a positive sign in year 2020. The company able to decrease the collection period into 670 days, but in 2021, it slightly decreased into 828 days. In the conclusion, the company did a better performance in 2020 to get the positive result compared to 2019 and 2021. Total asset turnover for Nova MSC Berhad has been showing an upward and downward in the graph. As the graph in the slide show, in 2019, Nova MSC Berhad only gained 0.09 and it increased to 0.1 of asset turnover, and it declined again to 0.08 in 2021. That means the company can generate large sale relative to the assets.
There are two ratios in the leverage ratio, which is firstly, we are going to take a look at the debt ratio of Nova MSC company. The debt ratio is used to measure the degree of indebtedness of a company. Based on the chart, we can simplify that in 2021, the company has the lowest debt ratio compared to the previous 2 years, which is 6.44%. This means that the company has a good debt ratio, as lower ratios suggest greater creditworthiness. However, company must take note that investors rarely want to purchase stock of a company with extremely low debt ratio, as it indicates that the firm does not finance increased operation through borrowing at all. In general, many investors look for a company to have a debt ratio between 0.3 and 0.6. Secondly is the time interest earn ratio. It is a ratio that is used to measure the ability of a company to cover its interest expense as measured by its earning before interest and tax relative to interest expense. We can see from the chart that the time interest earn ratio for 2021 is the lowest at only 1.93 times compared to 2020 and 2019. This shows that the ratio for 2021 is not a good one, because a higher ratio is preferable because it indicates that the company can meet its interest obligation because earnings are significantly greater than annual interest obligation. Nova MSC company may face the risk of being unable to pay the interest on the loan. Therefore, the company needs to take measures to avoid that by optimizing its capital structure or reviewing its dividend policy. Moving on to profitability ratio, the first one is the gross profit margin, which shows the ability of a company in managing its cost of goods sold. In 2021, the Nova MSC company has the highest gross profit margin, which is at 6.88%, meaning that the company has improved its profit and efficiency by 3.87% compared to previous year, which is only at 3.01%. This indicates that the company did better in 2021 in terms of managing the cost of sales and generating profit. However, this company still shows a small gross profit margin, which means the company has a very little money to do anything except keep making its product at the same level. Therefore, the company can increase its gross profit margin through low production cost, higher sales price, and efficient management. Next is the operating profit margin. It is used to show how well a company manages its expense and revenue, such as the effectiveness in managing income statement. Based on the chart, we can conclude that 2021 has the highest operating profit margin, which is at 6.88%. This means that the company is more stable to support its business compared to the previous year, due to the company is making more money from its ongoing operation to pay for its variable costs. Unfortunately, this company requires both operating and non-operating income to cover the operation expense, indicating that the business operating activities are not sustainable. Therefore, Nova MSC company should look for another measure to increase their operating profit margin by reducing cost of goods sold and operating expenses, or reviewing their selling prices. Another ratio is the net profit margin, which is used to measure the net income as a percentage of sales by measuring the percentage of each sales dollar remaining after all costs and expenses deducted, which include interest, tax, and preferred stock dividend. We can see on the chart that in 2021 has the highest net profit margin, which is 6.88%. Hence, this shows that the company did better in terms of managing costs and expenses in 2021 compared to the previous 2 years. The slightest percentage could plunge the company into the red. Thus, Nova MSC company must get a large net profit margin to be able to compete with other companies in their industry. To achieve that, the company can increase it by reducing cost of production without sacrificing quality. For instance, raw material purchased in bulk, which discounted by wholesaler, or funding expansion as it increased production capacity, drive higher sales volume and reduce average cost per item produced. Besides net profit margin, there is return on total asset ratio, which is used to measure the overall effectiveness of management in generating profit with its available assets and determine the amount of net income produced on asset. Based on the chart, we can see that the return on total asset is progressively increasing from 2019 to 2021 being the highest, which is 0.45%. This means that over the year, the company can improve its effectiveness of management in generating profit with its available asset, as a higher amount of return on asset is better, and it is also the result of efficient asset management. Lastly is the return on equity ratio. It is a return earned on the common stockholder investments in company to determine if the earnings available to the common equity investor are attractive when compared to the returns of owner of the company in the peer group. Based on the chart, we can see that in 2021, it has the highest ratio compared to 2020 and 2019, which is 0.48%. This means that in 2021, shareholder will get a better return in the company compared to the last 2 years. Besides that, a high amount of return on equity in 2021 indicates that it has the highest amount of profit from its shareholder investments in the company compared to the last 2 years.
Okay, so next I will present about marketability ratio. First, we have earning per share, dividend per share, and third, price earning ratio. So first, I will present about earning per share. As we can see that in earning per share in year 2020 get higher between year 2021 and 2019, which in RM 0.06. From this, it can be shown that Nova MSC has better income per share for year 2020 compared to 2019 and 2021. A higher EPS demonstrates higher value because investor will pay more for a company shares if they believe the company profit are greater than its share price. Dividend per share. Since the end of the fiscal year, Nova Company has not declared any dividend or payment. Even the Nova Company's director advised against making any dividend payments after the current financial year. Lastly, the total price earning ratio in 2019 is RM 0.01 cent, and in 2020 is RM 0.02 negative, while in 2021, total price earning is RM negative 0.04. In comparison to 2020, the year 2021 shows a decreasing number. In the following year, the company loss increased. Investors are discouraged from purchasing stock if the PE value is declining. This is due to several factors, one of which is the company's financial difficulties and unprofitability stocks. In conclusion, 2019 has a better total PE than 2020 and 2021. However, the total PE does not show a good performance. And the last part, I will present about summarize about decision either this company qualified to get financing or rejected. From a point of view, based on the profitability ratio, it can be seen that Nova MNC Company Berhad has an increase in 2021 profit compared to the previous 2 years. This indicates that the company is in a relatively good position in generating profits. Even so, Nova MNC Company is still not stable because profit have not yet reached the maximum. Based on what I get, I suggest that Nova MNC Company invest in a new project so that through the investment, Nova MNC Company can generate profits in the long run and be able to stabilize the financial position of Nova MNC Company. Next, debt ratio. The total percentage for 2021 is way lower than the total percentage in 2020 and 2019. This means that the larger ratio are considered more valuable than the smaller ratio. In 2021, the company debt is lower, so it is less risky to pay back compared to 2019 and 2020, which have a high risk to pay back. For time interest earned, a high ratio shown in 2019 is preferable as it indicates that the company can meet its interest obligation because earnings are significantly greater than annual interest obligation. Nevertheless, a high ratio can also mean that a company has an undeservedly low level of leverage or pay down too much debt with earnings that could be used for under investment opportunity to get a higher rate of return. However, in 2021, the ratio has decreased compared to the previous 2 years. This means that the company may face the risk of being unable to pay the interest on the loan. Yet, it is still higher to force a company into bankruptcy. From an investor or creditor's perspective, an organization that has at times interest earned ratio greater than 2.5 is considered an acceptable risk. Companies that have a times interest earned ratio of less than 2.5 are considered a much higher risk for bankruptcy or default. Therefore, the company needs to take measures to avoid bankruptcy by optimizing its capital structure or reviewing its dividend policy. So, in conclusion, the decision either Nova MNC Company is qualified to get financing or rejected is that Nova MNC Company financing will be rejected. This because this company is quite risky to get financing. After all, based on the leverage ratio, in 2021, this company is quite risky to repay the loan. After all, it has a high debt ratio and lowest interest earned. But if Nova MSC company increase its profit rate ever more in 2021, this company will be able to pay the debt on time.